I put a blank piece of paper at the end of every table. And I also put this card stock that has a diagram on it. It's at the end of every table. So if you can make sure that everyone in your group has a blank piece of standard paper and card stock with a diagram on it, you'll just need one of each. I also have some scissors kind of laying around. Just they're community scissors. Not everyone needs a pair. You're just going to make a couple of quick cuts and then you just pass them on. But if we can kind of set up for the rest of the groups as they start filtering back in. Now, if you look up in front, eyes in the front, please. I have only cut out one of these diagrams. One of these diagrams were cut out. So you do not need to cut out all of them. The reason why you'll cut out one and leave the rest there is because as you're going through this, there's like a little online video that'll show you how to kind of create this little battery holder. As you're doing that, you're going to be like, okay, is this the front side, the back side? So these are just examples. There's four, two front side, two back side versions. It'll make more sense as you cut through this, but if you want to really quickly cut it out, quick cut, and then just cut along the black line, not the dotted, but the solid black line, and then just pass the scissors on to someone else. I tried to give as many scissors out possible. While they're cutting those out, let me have everyone else, or everyone just kind of look up here really quickly. You're going to all need to grab one of these little stickers. It's got 3 little computer chips on them. These are actual LED lights that stick to paper, and we're going to use those. So I'm going to give everybody one of these little, if you just walk up here and grab one, don't take them off the stickers or anything yet, but if you want to grab them now, you're more than welcome to walk up here and grab one, or grab some for your partner as well. Everybody should get one. Now when it comes to this cardstock, the reason why it's on cardstock is because it's a little bit more durable. We want that to kind of have a little form. When you build this, you're going to make a little battery pouch basically. And that little battery pouch, it will be nice and fun. You can tape it to a piece of paper or whatever else you're using. Just like the last assignments, I have put all my resources for how to build this paper circuit onto the Google Class stream. And so what I would recommend you doing is opening up this document just by double-clicking on the picture itself, the little icon. If you double-click on it, or click on it once actually, it'll open up the slide or the document, whatever it is, I don't remember. But it has a couple of links on there, and we'll kind of walk through those together. I could show you how to fold this paper, but you guys can all watch the screen a little bit and do it at your own speed, which probably makes it easier for everyone. And I would recommend that as well for your students. We had our students during camp doing all kinds of like origami-based projects, and every single foldable that we created we created like a step-by-step, and it was all recorded by my students. And the kids just loved it because they were able to work at their own speed, and there was extensions to them. If they were finished before everyone else, they got to do the next one, and all the other kids saw these crazy origami foldables. So they had a good time with it. It's a great medium. Google Classroom is a great medium for this kind of teaching. Okay, so I'm back on the SKMP PD main class page, and I just went down. This is called the stream. The stream tab is that's where you keep all of your assignments, right? So I am looking at paper circuits. Oops, where am I at? The paper circuit right here. So I'm going to just click on this one. And it's just a Google Docs. Let it finish loading. It's not all the way loaded. But take a look at the picture really quickly. We can actually create circuits with LEDs built onto paper, and using the same concept with a watch battery and so on. And once you have this understanding down, I'm going to help you guys build the holder, and we'll just take some quick copper tape. Just so you know that these are just rails. Like you just create one side, the positive leg, and then a negative leg. They do not connect at the end. It doesn't make a circle because the battery itself transfers the energy from positive to negative back, completing a circle. So these two parallel. They do not connect somewhere off here in the end. So don't think that you have to connect these two pages. I'll give you a couple of quick pointers. When I was putting this together myself, which I did the other day, I felt like the picture and the reading was a little bit difficult for me to understand until after I went to the very bottom and saw the video. And the video kind of helps me kind of get context of what side gets glued or taped onto. So what I'm going to recommend is you scroll down to the bottom and watch the video first. It doesn't have any sound to it. It's just a quick video. So scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then you'll see this YouTube link where you can click on and just watch it. If your sound's on it for some reason, just minimize it because you can just watch this and happen. So I'll give you guys the minutes to do that. let me kind of talk to you about extensions for this, because I think the concept is important, right? We're basically looking at circuitry, and we're just going to a next level. We're showing how a battery source, these two rails, the positive and negative rails, are needed to cause this to light up. If you're able to get this to work, if you're able to get your power supply to light up and get it to work, then let's talk about where you go with this. What kind of stuff can you do in addition to this? And that's on my, the Google page is there's, I think it shows it on here, but let me look. There's extensions to this. You can actually create greeting cards that light up, three-dimensional greeting cards, pop-up greeting cards. And I would recommend that you look into those things, because that's a great Mother's Day gift, Father's Day gift, birthday card where the candle at the top lights up. These are all great STEM activities that kids love to do, and it's super simple, right? You spend $5 for 100 batteries. These LED batteries, or these LED lights, are a little bit more pricey. They're $10 for 30, but the LED, the legs, $5, 500 of them, and they work just as good. So I just showed you this because it's easier to hold them in place. Amazon. Chibitronics, this site right here on the top, if you look on the page, Chibitronics is where I bought these. They kind of have a monopoly on these sticker LEDs. But let me show you guys where you can do some future research on this. One of the things that I talked to you about earlier was not having the time and the effort to spend the time and effort to do this on your own. But if you look at this, at the bottom of that circuitry page, at the bottom, there is two links, the pop-up greeting card, and then there's this SparkFun tutorial. I would recommend, if you've made your circuits light up, click on both of these and just check them out. They're really kind of neat. Some of them were done with paper, and then some people that maybe have a laser cutter or any kind of like the curios, the silhouette curios are kind of like crickets. You can make those with those and make some really high-end graphical pop-up cards. And so these two examples are really neat. I would say look at it so you can kind of see what I'm going with. Very cool. You got it to work. Yes. It's neat that we can do 3 of them. They're stuck on the page. Very cool. Such a simple idea, but we're talking about stuff that has such a low entry, high ceiling, right? That's kind of what we're talking about here. Let me go ahead and start by saying, let's look at the Makey Makey box and talk about how we're going to do the connections for Makey Makey. So let's take a minute to clean up our supplies, and then I'm going to ask everybody to find their Makey Makey and their power cable, which is this red cable that's in your box. So when I look at this, this is called a Makey Makey, and this is one of those things that started in like Jumpstarter, or was Kickstart, I'm sorry, Kickstart. It was one of those group of guys that were like, hey, this is really kind of a neat idea that we can market as a board, and it did. It was like a success overnight. And so there's a lot of great ideas with this, but let me just kind of explain what it is that you're looking at. On the back side, you see that it does have some circuitry, but really all this is just an extension to your keyboard. What this is a second keyboard. That's all this really is. Now, when I talked to you guys about circuitry earlier, I was telling you that you need a circuit, a circle, for the charge. Well, your keyboard actually is completing a circuit. As it stands, there's power sent to your keyboard keys. As soon as you press down on any button on your keyboard, spacebar, any, escape, any of those buttons, it will close the circuit, and a very small amount of electricity is sent through that circuit, and your computer knows, hey, you just pressed this key. So you have a very small amount of circuitry passing through your computer as it stands. Well, the Makey Makey, once you plug it in with your USB port, it just kind of pops up as a secondary keyboard. And this is all we're going to do with it, is we're going to take our wires, we're going to put one on the ground or the earth, they call it the earth on the bottom, and then we're going to connect it to any of these little symbols, and these just represent the up arrow on your keyboard, the down arrow, the left, right, the space, and the click. So you now have 7 keys that your computer will recognize when you close a circuit with this Makey Makey. So take them out, and we'll kind of look at this. I'm going to do an example with you on my computer, so that way you kind of have an example of how this will work, and then we'll kind of come back together as a group. So take these out, have these set out on your desk. You'll need some of those little alligator cables setting out on the side as well. So 2 or 3 of those alligator cables is enough. The second half of this PD is really going to be focusing on Makey Makey and programming. And the coding part of this is very elementary in that sense, where I have my own students in 3rd and 4th grade. When we do this over camp, they are able to jump into these ideas and then just kind of run away with this stuff. So yes, it's going to be a little bit intimidating at first, because some of you that have always kind of shied away from this side of the sciences, I want you to kind of have an open mind with this. It's definitely things that we want to encourage our students to do, but nobody has to be expert programmers. I'm not, but I just have an interest in it, and I found ways that I can kind of intrigue and engage my students using it. So I want to kind of revisit the idea of a circuit, and what I've done is I've created a computer program, a simple computer program that models what a circuit does. And when I say simple, I mean it's got 2 blocks. And if you can see where you're at, let me see if I can zoom in some. Here's what it says. When the W key is pressed, this happens. So it reads like a book. It's linear, left to right, top to bottom. So this is 2 instruction lines. It says, wait until the W key has been pressed, and then if you see the W key being pressed, then play a sound. So let me go ahead and just on my laptop, I'm not using Makey Makey or anything, I'm just on my laptop. If I hit the W button, there's sound. Let there be sound. So let me see if I can. Oh, it doesn't allow me to change it here. It's just going to, I think it's like, I'm going to try and adjust this. That sounds better. All right, that's all I'm doing is hitting the W key, and it's making that sound. I apologize for blasting you. But now, what I want to do is this. I'm going to assign this, but I want to change the W to the up arrow. Because you guys can look on your Makey Makey, look down at your Makey Makey, and you see that it has an up arrow, right? So what I'm going to do is, I've connected, because I'm going to try and do this in front of you a little bit closer, I've connected 2 of these alligator cables together just to make one long strand. And I'm going to do the same over here on this other side. This isn't necessary for you to follow along. I mean, just kind of watch, but you don't actually have to do this yet. You're going to get your opportunities to do these. But I'm going to kind of revisit a much larger idea that you've been working on with me already with circuitry. So I'm going to connect 2 wires because in order for me to have a circuit, I have to make a circle. I have to have the ground or the earth connected. And then I'm going to put this connecting to the, what button am I going to connect it to? Look over here on my program. I've changed it to the up arrow because the up arrow is actually on my keyboard. So take a look at this. And the first times that I roll these out to the kids, I talk to them about electricity, making a circuit. I tell them all that. And they're expecting some like massive shock to like happen. They think that these things are going to like jump together in arc. But so do you see what I'm doing? All I've done was I've connected these 2 cables together. And it's going through. Now, this is an interesting idea, but I'm going to ask a couple of people over here on the side tables to help me out. Remember how we were in the center and we did our hands together connecting and we made a circuit? I want to know if humans are conductive in the same way, doing the same thing that I was just doing right here, touching these 2 cords together. I want to know if humans are conductive. So can I get 2 of you guys, if you don't mind helping me out? I'm going to walk around this side. Would you stand for us, please? All right. Yes, so how do you feel about a perm? No, just kidding. So you're going to hold on to that side. So you actually need to hold the metal part of the alligator clip to make that connection. There's that. Oh, wait a minute. So first things first is that us 2 are here. Let's go ahead. And if we have, oh, I'm sorry, we're touching down here also. If we're here at this point, when we touch, we've completed a circuit. So now, how about you hold his hand for a second and just put your hand together. And let's go and do it high enough so they can all see. Now I'm thinking, well, 2 people are conductive, 3 people are conductive. Let's get another person up here, please. Can I get one more person to try this? Can I get someone to stand? One of you ladies, join us? I would ask someone from across the room, but in the interest of time. So she's holding my hand. Oh, you guys just touched elbows. So you guys first touch hands together. And then up high. Here we go. So now my next question is, well, what about 4 people, 5 people, 6 people? We can do the whole entire class in this section. Thank you very much for your help. Appreciate it. So we can spend some time with our kids, not even focusing on computer programming or, the Makey Makeys. We're talking about like basic elements of, electricity and circuits. Are we able to complete a circuit? So are humans conductive? Yes, ma'am.
Is there a point where it won't conduct?
The amount of resistance will become so great that it will do that, but I've done up to 20, 25 people, a classroom, and it never failed. Again, these Makey Makeys don't require 3 volts of electricity like the lights do. They operate on the same amount of keyboard, the energy that a keyboard works on, which is a fractional amount. It's a very small amount. That's the only way keyboards can be efficient. They don't kill your battery by typing. So it's fractional amounts. It can register and recognize that fractional amount, and that's all you need. So a strand of people doing this is a great interactive thing to do with your students. If you've modeled circuitry and you've done the hand holding, this would be this is the next level. So now we do a Makey Makey, and they love seeing the sound or whatever you do. So that's what we're doing. So here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. Model this on your own laptop. If you can't do this with an iPad, so pair up with your partner if you don't have a laptop or a Chromebook. You need to have a scratch.com, but before we do scratch.com, I think might be neat is if you just go into makeymakey.com. Go to makeymakey.com on your laptops. So there's this makeymakey.com, and I bring it up because there's a lot of great resources here that can help kind of bring you to the next level of where you're at and what you're doing. There is a piano app on here that you can actually plug into your computer. There's all kinds of stuff, and I would encourage you to just do this whole YouTube Makey Makey. And the place that I probably would definitely start is on their actual website. They have lots of direction to go from there. But what I'd like you guys to do is actually take this same idea of circuitry, and we actually have the ability to make a piece of paper conductive with pencil lead. So I've put pencil boxes on your tables, and I don't think there's enough paper, so I'll come back and just give you a piece of paper. What you'll want to do is make a box, just make some squares that are like keys. So we'll make 3 or 4 squares and just shade them in really good because the graphite in the pencil is what's conductive. And so you'll want to make sure that you shade those boxes really well. I have on one of the Google Classroom pages, it shows an example of how they did this. But I'll just give you some papers and take a pencil, take a couple of pencils, pencil sharpeners up in the front as well. Make a couple of triggers. We'll call them triggers because that's all it's going to be is when you tap this, it should be able to trigger some kind of song or sound coming from your computer. Pencil keyboard is the name of the assignment that you'll want to go under. So go and find under the SKMP stream. Pencil keyboard is what I'm looking at. So if I click on that, that will give you some, this is the module that we did for summer camp. So you can find some instructions on how it would look. You don't have to follow step by step, but take a look at the way that they made this. They put some keys on one side, and then they just connected the other side of the page. I'll go into presentation mode so you see a little bit better. There it is. That's what I want your paper to look like. You don't need to draw 7 or 8 of them. Just do 2 or 3 just to see if you can make this happen. And then we'll worry about connecting our computers to it.
I accidentally touched the wrong way.
I'm not using a Makey Makey. I'm just tapping the screen, but it recognizes this as left arrow, up, down, or right, down, and space. So once you've created your pencil keyboard, plug your Makey Makey in. You don't even have to do any scratch programming or anything. You just plug it in, and then see if you can make it recognize these keyboards.
Yeah. I don't want to. Okay, I'm going to try something different. They're not sharpened. Here's a
Let's look at one last thing. So can I have everybody just look forward for a second? This is a perfect break. A perfect break before lunch. So this is great, but someone discovered something. What's your name, please? Tell me what your name is. Nia? Yes. Nia. Nina, sorry. Nina was looking on the Makey Makey website, and she found a really clever Michael Jackson version of this. Can you tell us, what was the URL for it? Can you look on the screen and tell us what the URL was? So what it does is, same thing, circuit setup, but it's a Billie Jean, and it sings little snippets of it when you do it. It's just classy. You have to see it. So
it's makeymakey.com and then
/apps.
Yeah, and it's almost down to the bottom. It says Makey Makey.
Okay. Okay, so Makey Makey Billie Jean. So if you go into the apps, so from makeymakey.com homepage, click on apps, go down to the bottom of those, and then at the very bottom you'll see the Billie Jean, and it actually causes his mouth to open when you complete the circuits, and it sings parts of the song. Just check it out. It's a perfect way to leave for lunch. We are breaking for lunch at 12 o'clock, and you get an hour, so be back at 1.
Billie Jean, my